It's time for good energy, and I'm Dr. Julie, and welcome to Bodyful Day 207. We are talking about joy in the senses, and today we are talking about the sense of smell. So we have been alluding to the fact that what brings us joy is a combination of the sensory input as well as our top-down interpretation of that information. And the sense of smell is no different. So join me on the front steps as we work through this. Why don't we start with our basics? Let's take our deep breath in and release. This next deep breath in, you want to breathe deep. You want to expand in your belly, expand in your chest, expand in your sinuses. You can literally feel your head kind of open up. And as you do that, your tailbone and your pelvis is going to tuck under a little bit. So let's go ahead and take a deep breath in. And release. And because we are working on the sense of joy, let's think about a joyful experience from today and keep it in your mind and breathe in with that memory in your mind. Take a deep breath in. And release. All right, so today we are talking about joy in the senses, and we're talking about the sense of smell. And we've talked about the sense of sight, we've talked about taste, we've talked about hearing, we've talked about kinesthetics, and today we're going to talk about the sense of smell. And we've always been talking about the fact that joy, what brings you joy, is different from what brings somebody else joy, which is the reason why healing is so complicated, but can be made really simple if you think about it from the perspective of the healing equation. Energy to heal equals good energy in minus stressors. What is joyful to you may be a stressor for the next person, and therefore they wouldn't want to put it in their day frequently. But what is joyful to you, you want to try to encounter it as often as you can, because it is energy to heal. It is a way to make you feel better. It is a way to reverse things that are going on in your body. So today is no different. We're talking about the sense of smell. And interestingly, I just decided to do my little research thing, and I found that there was a 2004 paper that looked at the sense of smell across cultures. And cultures are a great way to suggest what is a top-down influence can make you decide what is joyful or not. Now, they didn't use joyful. They used pleasant or unpleasant, strong, not strong. And when they took 53 different scents and they had people from the US rate them, they had people from Vietnam rate them, and they had people from France rate them, there was a very different pattern depending upon what culture was working on it. So for example, in France, these scents were divided into cosmetic, floral, and sweet food. There were 59 of them. Some of them didn't fall on that perspective, but that's how French people ended up rating them, and that's how they ended up falling out into two categories. But in the US, we incorporated the idea of unpleasant. So in French, it really was cosmetic, floral, sweet. And they didn't have strong or unpleasant floral. Whereas in the US, there were scents that were strong, unpleasant floral. And in Vietnam, there were strong, unpleasant scents. So in the US, we actually identified stressors as a cultural thing. Culture said these smells are stressors. And they were floral stressors. Whereas in Vietnam, they were just identified as strong, unpleasant smells. Now, you're probably asking, well, what smells were these? It was interesting because in terms of strong, unpleasant floral scents, it included things like lavender, ylang ylang, jasmine, these were all considered strong, unpleasant scents by U.S. raiders overall. And in Vietnam, those were considered strong, unpleasant floral scents. But in Vietnam, they were part of a larger group of strong, unpleasant scents, which also included orange. So culturally, your thought of what is joyful, what is going to give you pleasure, really does have some influence on what you are smelling frequently and in what context in your culture. So walking into a house and smelling chocolate chip cookies might be good for a lot of people, but it's also going to be a stressor for some. Smelling the combination of ozone with embedded in sheets when they are dried outside is good energy in for me. It is a joyful scent, but it may not be joyful for somebody else. They may not like the way clothes smell when they're dried outside because that ozone scent isn't joyful. And a lot of it has to do with your cultural upbringing. Your culture will have a lot to say about what smells good and what doesn't smell good. Now, also remember, ways back we talked about pheromones. Pheromones are hormones that are produced by you in your sweat that are good. They can be good attractive. They can be fear. They can be scared because you're scared. And they can essentially chemically signal what is going on in your body. And those are senses that we don't actually smell, but we react to. So being around somebody who's just finished a marathon and feeling really good, you will get the pheromones of them in that event, not just their sweat, but their pheromones. And that may be a pleasant experience. So guess what? You'll end up volunteering at a lot of marathons because you enjoy the pheromones. Even though you can't smell them, you enjoy the pheromones, and so you seek those out. So look at culturally what your culture does. Does your mother wear a lot of perfume? Do your friends wear a lot of perfume? Do you walk into a house and there's a lot of distinct smells? Are they associated with good foods? Are they not? Does mom have a tendency to burn the fish whenever she makes it? So then fish isn't going to be a pleasant odor. Not that fish is ever a pleasant odor unless it's like over a grill or, someplace. Maybe stuck in a restaurant. So smells are manipulated not just by their chemical structure, which is the bottom-up information, and that would also be pheromones. Pheromones are very bottom-up because you can't actually smell it, but they're also influenced by the cultural part of the top-down as well as your own individual part of top-down. So what can you do with this information? Well, you can understand that this is part of the reason why certain families will enjoy particular smells, because that is culturally what is considered good. If you gave me a cookie with lavender in it, I would not like it. Even if it was the most delicately laced cookie, I am not a fan of lavender. I find lavender off-putting. I am one of those Americans who find strong floral unpleasant. And I will not use it if I don't have to. But if you put it in a cookie, oh my goodness, what are you thinking? But there are cultures that love that lavender component mixed into cookies and to foods and think it's absolutely wonderful. So these are things to consider when you are thinking about what scents, what smells bring you joy. Should you put a scent that brings you joy into a perfume and wear it? I'm not entirely sure. Maybe not physically on you, or maybe it may be just a drop of that essential oil on a bracelet or something that gives off that diffuses with your body heat. It's always interesting to see. All right. Well, I hope that was a lot of information. I hope you got something out of it and you enjoyed it. I will see you back here tomorrow. We have 2 more scents left to go. Let's take a deep breath in and release. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.